The kitchen is quiet in the way only late nights can be. Not peaceful, just empty. The hum of the refrigerator, the faint tick of the wall clock, and the soft glow of the overhead light make the space feel suspended in time. When the phone vibrates, he barely reacts at first. His wife texts him often, reminders, routine check-ins, fragments of married life. He unlocks the screen expecting normalcy. Instead, his mind struggles to process what he's seeing. The images don't feel accidental. They feel intentional, composed, rehearsed. His body responds before his thoughts do. His chest tightens, then oddly steadies. No anger yet. No panic. Just a slow, chilling awareness spreading through him, like cold water filling a room. This isn't chaos. This is precision. And that realization hurts more than rage ever could. He doesn't look away. Instead, his eyes begin noticing things he never trained them to see before. The background isn't their home, too polished, too unfamiliar. A hotel mirror reflects a version of her he doesn't recognize, not because she looks different, but because she looks certain. The clothing isn't revealing in a scandalous way, just deliberate, chosen, styled, confident. She never wore it for him. That truth lands silently but violently. What breaks him isn't the implication of intimacy, it's the performance of it. This woman knows her angles, knows her power, knows exactly how she wants to be seen. And suddenly, every memory rewrites itself. Every excuse. Every late night. Every tired smile. This wasn't a mistake made in weakness. This was a role she stepped into willingly, repeatedly, practiced until it felt natural. Then the final message arrives. Short. Casual. Intimate in a way that assumes belonging. I miss you already. His name isn't there. That absence is louder than any confession. In that instant, something inside him closes, not in anger, but in clarity. He locks the phone as if sealing away a version of himself that no longer applies. At the sink, he washes his hands slowly, deliberately, as though rinsing off an identity he can't wear anymore. The water runs too long, but he doesn't notice. His reflection stares back at him, calm, pale, resolute. This isn't the beginning of a confrontation. It's the end of uncertainty. When he finally whispers, "Okay, now I know," it isn't defeat. It's acceptance. And acceptance, quiet as it is the most dangerous turning point of all. Ethan Cole is a man of quiet routine. At 35, his life is meticulously ordered. Early mornings, structured workdays, late-night code reviews, and project deadlines that dictate his calendar like a strict parent. He manages software teams, resolves conflicts calmly, and plans meticulously, believing control equals safety. Yet beneath the veneer of precision, Ethan carries guilt. He knows his missed birthdays, small anniversaries, and quiet moments that never demanded big gestures but spoke volumes of presence. He tells himself his work is for their future, for stability, for a life without chaos, but late at night, he wonders if he has instead built walls that keep connection out. His emotional restraint, once admirable, now feels like armor. He notices Lauren's absence of warmth, the way her laughter has softened, but he rationalizes it. Stability has blinded him to fragility. Lauren Cole, 33, navigates her own quiet unrest. As a marketing consultant, she thrives in spaces that reward creativity, charm, and social perception. She moves through the world aware of image, presentation, and how people perceive her success, but at home, the applause is missing. Ethan's predictable calm, once comforting, now feels like invisibility. Small gestures go unnoticed, and days blend into polite exchanges. Her body craves attention, her mind craves acknowledgement, and her heart craves excitement. She doesn't seek chaos for its own sake. She seeks validation, emotional resonance, the spark that once defined their connection. Subtle resentments have built over years. He works late, she works early, and the silences between them grow longer than conversations. Lauren doesn't plan betrayals, but she flirts with them emotionally in thought. The marriage, once a promise of partnership, now feels like a museum. Beautiful, polished, but frozen. Together, Ethan and Lauren project the image of a perfect couple. Friends, family, and colleagues see stability, harmony, and tastefully decorated spaces. But behind closed doors, their conversations are polite, measured, and often transactional. Physical intimacy has waned, replaced by careful politeness and small acts of shared routine, folding laundry together, discussing bills, planning future trips that rarely happen. Ethan notices Lauren's gym obsession and frequent work trips only in passing, rationalizing them as healthy habits or career ambition. Phones are on silent more than not. Red flags flicker subtly like distant warning lights, easy to ignore until they illuminate the truth. Ethan's reflection at night, "I thought peace meant safety. I didn't know it could hide a lie this big," is the first recognition of fragility he cannot control. The stage is set for revelation, betrayal, and emotional reckoning. After the initial shock, Ethan doesn't react with anger, he reacts with methodical curiosity. He opens the shared cloud storage account, fingers trembling slightly but controlled, scanning for anomalies. He finds deleted folders, carefully restored, revealing images and documents that weren't meant for him, evidence of intimacy and planning that hits like cold water. His gaze moves to email archives, filtering by keywords, discovering hotel receipts tucked between professional correspondence. Each discovery layers confusion, hurt, and disbelief. His mind works in quiet calculation rather than noise. The kitchen's dim light catches the sweat on his brow, and the familiar apartment suddenly feels foreign, like a crime scene. He realizes betrayal is methodical, precise, and intentional. This is not random chaos, this is design, and Ethan's rational mind begins plotting his response, even as his heart clenches. Shock has become purpose. Then, another message arrives, Lauren's voice note. Hesitation freezes him, but curiosity wins. He taps play. The sound is intimate, warm, deliberate, a version of her he never knew existed, soft but unmistakably personal. The voice carries life, vitality, and a familiarity now alien to him. Each word feels like proof, confirmation of the emotional distance he already suspected. Ethan traces the number using subtle digital tools. The realization hits harder. The lover is married, a senior partner at her firm, someone entwined in both her professional and personal sphere. The betrayal is layered, sophisticated, and deliberate. Ethan feels a pivot within himself, not rage, not despair, but clarity. He now knows this is no accident, no fleeting indiscretion. This was chosen, maintained, and protected. Shock morphs into cold comprehension, the kind that sharpens a mind for calculated response. Ethan doesn't confront Lauren immediately. Instead, he documents everything: screenshots, receipts, timestamps, voice notes. He quietly contacts a lawyer, describing the situation without dramatics. In the calm office of the attorney, he listens intently as the professional speaks. "If you stay calm, you can walk away with everything that matters," the lawyer advises. Ethan's mind maps strategy over emotion. The pivot is total. Betrayal has forced him out of passive acceptance into deliberate action. He understands that his life, future assets, and dignity are negotiable only through patience and precision. Emotion is dangerous now. Detachment is his weapon. The apartment, once a haven, now feels like a chessboard. Every move matters. Ethan's heart still aches, but the ache is contained beneath a mask of control. Shock has transformed into purpose, setting the stage for confrontation, retribution, and the unraveling of hidden truths to tea home. Lauren moves like nothing has changed, her smile practiced, her touch polite but distant. Ethan mirrors her carefully, a loving husband on the surface, masking the storm within. Every casual conversation, every shared laugh, becomes a needle, reminding him of betrayal he cannot openly acknowledge. His internal dialogue is a battlefield. Rage burns beneath measured calm, self-doubt whispers he somehow failed, and temptation claws at him to confront her immediately. Yet rationality restrains him. He knows exposure without proof risks losing everything. At night, alone, he replays moments, analyzing gestures, text tones, and missed opportunities for truth. The intimacy that once brought warmth now acts as a trigger for pain. The apartment's familiar spaces, the living room, the bedroom, even the kitchen, have turned into arenas of psychological tension, where every routine action is loaded with unspoken betrayal and suppressed anger. Outside the apartment, the world continues to praise Lauren. Friends comment on her charm, family admires the perfect marriage, and colleagues mention her grace under pressure. Ethan becomes invisible in their narratives, erased by appearances while he wrestles privately with devastation. The irony is sharp: admiration from those who know nothing, applause for a woman complicit in duplicity. Meanwhile, his lawyer's guidance amplifies the tension. Evidence must be meticulous, dates verified, communications preserved. Infidelity laws intersect with workplace ethics, making hasty action dangerous. Each delayed confrontation is a test of patience, a measure of self-control. Ethan internalizes the paradox. The longer he waits, the stronger his position legally, but the longer the emotional pressure cooker builds. Isolation tightens around him. Every social smile at a dinner party, every congratulatory toast to Lauren, feels like a gauntlet he must endure, reinforcing the stakes of the silent war he fights. Late at night, the apartment empties into silence. Ethan is alone with his thoughts, monologues that echo off walls, silent tears that fall in the shower, his reflection haunting him in the bathroom mirror. He confides in no one. Even friends would misunderstand, offer hollow advice, or unintentionally reveal his strategy. Each lonely night strengthens both anguish and determination. Then, in casual morning conversation, Lauren says, "I'm lucky to have you," her tone unguarded, unaware, untouchable. The words strike harder than any confrontation could. Ethan realizes she genuinely believes she's invincible, protected by charm, ignorance, and social perception. Yet he knows better. Patience has given him insight, clarity, and control. Behind the mask of calm, a storm is gathering, one he can release only when timing, proof, and law converge. Emotional isolation has sharpened him, turning heartbreak into strategy, and rage into meticulous preparation. The gala is lavish, lights shimmering off crystal chandeliers, waiters gliding through rooms with silver trays, laughter floating over soft piano music. Ethan moves alongside Lauren, outwardly the perfect husband, while inside his mind, every detail is calculated. Across the room, the lover's smile gleams with arrogance, unaware of the trap Ethan has meticulously prepared. When the timing is right, the avalanche begins, not with shouts, but with quiet authority. Evidence he gathered, emails, receipts, voice notes, is delivered anonymously to HR and to the lover's spouse. The impact is surgical. Whispers spread like wildfire. The gala's polished surface cracks. Lauren feels the first tremors of instability, but cannot intervene. Ethan watches, calm and composed, as the social ecosystem she once controlled starts to collapse. Shock ripples across the room, but Ethan's face remains serene, a masterful predator who wields proof, not fists. The fallout is instantaneous. The lover's reputation crumbles. Whispers turn into accusations, promotions freeze, and colleagues glance sideways with suspicion. HR intervenes formally, questioning Lauren and her accomplice, while staff speculate behind polite smiles. Lauren's carefully maintained facade begins to crack, her confidence unraveling as whispers follow her like shadows. Ethan watches from the sidelines, observing each micro-expression, panic flashing, composure faltering, the realization of exposure sinking in. The room that once celebrated power and charm now hums with tension and betrayal. Even Lauren's allies hesitate, unsure what to believe. Silence becomes louder than words. The precision of Ethan's plan is evident. The destruction is total, but surgical. There is no dramatic confrontation in public, just the quiet collapse of a meticulously built lie. Observers see chaos, but Ethan experiences quiet satisfaction, a sense of vindication that comes from control rather than revenge. Later, at home, Lauren's panic erupts fully. She attempts to manipulate, rewrite history, blame Ethan, and conjure tears, but each effort falls flat. Her arsenal of charm and deception fails against the cold certainty of proof. Ethan, standing quietly in the familiar living room, watches her crumble. His voice is steady, unshaken, a quiet authority that leaves no room for argument. "I didn't destroy you. I just stopped protecting your lie." The words land heavier than any yell or confrontation could. Finally, he slides the divorce papers across the polished table, a deliberate act of closure. The home, once shared and intimate, now feels like neutral ground for judgment. Ethan doesn't shout, he doesn't plead. He simply delivers the outcome of years of betrayal, patience, and strategy. Lauren is left to face reality, stripped of power and control, while Ethan steps into a new chapter of dignity and clarity. After months of meticulous preparation and careful legal maneuvering, Ethan finally secures a favorable settlement. The courtroom battles, quiet negotiations, and careful documentation pay off. He keeps the house, preserving the sanctuary where memories, good and bad, once coexisted, and financial independence is firmly established. Unlike revenge seekers, Ethan does not revel in punishment. His satisfaction comes from reclaiming control over his life and future. This stability allows him to breathe without constant anxiety, and to plan without fear of sabotage. The victory is quiet yet absolute, a testament to patience and strategic thinking. It's a moment of empowerment not defined by anger, but by dignity. The sense of safety, once eroded by betrayal, now returns gradually, almost imperceptibly. Ethan can finally navigate his days with clarity, the weight of uncertainty lifting, leaving space for reflection, growth, and eventual peace. Meanwhile, Lauren faces the repercussions of her actions. Her career stalls as professional trust erodes, and colleagues begin to distance themselves subtly but unmistakably. Socially, she becomes isolated. Friends who once admired her charm now observe cautiously, unsure how much to trust. Alone, she is forced to confront herself and the choices that led here. Without the distraction of admiration, she meets the raw consequences of her behavior. Ethan, however, observes this not with vindictiveness, but with measured detachment. He recognizes that justice has been served through natural consequences rather than personal vengeance. While her life fractures, his remains intact, not through domination, but through restraint. The quiet observation of her reckoning strengthens Ethan's understanding of morality, fairness, and the power of patience. It is the subtle elegance of consequences, devastating for the guilty, empowering for the prudent. With legal battles behind him, Ethan turns inward. Therapy becomes a sanctuary where he unpacks years of suppressed feelings, guilt over emotional distance, resentment at betrayal, and frustration with his own passivity. He learns to redefine masculinity as strength without cruelty, closure without hatred, and resilience without aggression. Slowly, he lets go of the desire to win in the traditional sense and instead finds peace in truth and personal integrity. One quiet morning, he removes their wedding photo, not with anger, but gently, a symbolic gesture of letting go. It is an act of acceptance, of moving forward without resentment. The home feels lighter, the future open. In reclaiming himself, Ethan demonstrates that true empowerment is not the downfall of others, but the quiet, deliberate rebuilding of one's own life. Healing, dignity, and peace replace the pain once Ethan sits in his new apartment, a space stripped of past memories but rich with potential. The morning light pours through wide windows, catching the edges of clean, minimalist furniture and bouncing softly off pale walls. Steam rises from a freshly brewed cup of coffee, curling into the calm air, a small ritual of comfort and solitude. The apartment feels alive yet tranquil, a reflection of his own internal state. Here, no secrets linger, no manipulations cast shadows across his days. Every corner whispers possibility, a desk where work will be meaningful, a chair by the window for quiet reading, a kitchen ready for unhurried breakfasts. In this stillness, Ethan breathes deeply, letting the weight of betrayal slowly dissipate. There is no celebration, no vindication, only quiet presence and the subtle reassurance that he has reclaimed agency over his life. The world outside feels sharper, clearer, and his mind finally at ease. As he sips his coffee, Ethan reflects on everything that brought him here: years of routine, quiet love, betrayal, patience, and strategic restraint. He realizes that love should never feel like endurance, that loyalty without respect is a form of self-betrayal. The lessons are bitter but enlightening. Every tear, sleepless night, and strategic pause has led him to clarity. He understands the difference between attachment and self-respect, between passion and submission, between obligation and dignity. Ethan feels no triumph over Lauren, no pleasure in her consequences. His satisfaction comes from recognition. He preserves himself, his integrity, and his future. This is empowerment defined not by retribution, but by emotional sovereignty. The quiet apartment, the untouched coffee, and the soft morning light mirror his inner equilibrium. The trauma is not erased, but it is integrated, transformed into wisdom and patience, marking the start of a life lived on his terms. Finally, Ethan allows the thought to settle fully: she didn't replace me. She just chose someone who didn't see her clearly, and lost the one who did. The words linger in the quiet apartment like soft punctuation. There is no triumphal declaration, no anger, only understanding, resolution, and release. The phrase is a quiet viral-ready line because it captures universal truths: regret, clarity, unrecognized love, and the dignity of those who remain true to themselves. He sets down the coffee, feeling the warmth radiate into his hands, and glances around the apartment with a sense of ownership over his life, his choices, and his healing. The fade-out is gentle. No dramatic music, no shouting, just the sunlight glinting off clean surfaces, the sound of a calm city outside, and a man who has survived emotional upheaval and emerged wiser, stronger, and quietly triumphant.